Those elections coming up for city council and for school board and park board and a whole host of different types of seats all around the state, including right here in the capital city in Springfield. And things have been rather fascinating to see unfold in the past few weeks when it comes to how city action is eating into the political conversation for who's on the ballot, especially for mayor of Springfield. You've got incumbent Jim Langfelder and challenger Misty Buscher, who's the city's treasurer, and some of the big conversations that have been had in the city council chambers deals with what kind of authority a mayor may or may not have. When it comes to forgiving fees or fines or debt, and that's been an ongoing conversation with what happened around the Wyndham City Center. But you do have reporting from the Illinois Times indicating that the city's waived fines and forgiven utility bills in hundreds of cases. And they're still looking to get more information on all of that. But to talk more about this and really, I think, kind of just go into the weeds a little of fines and fees and who really does make this determination on forgiving these types of things. Ward Alderman Joe McMenamin, he joins us now. Ward 7 is where you're from, Alderman. You're termed out, so you're on your way out after serving now 12 years here in Springfield. But what's your understanding of the political back and forth here on the issue of debt forgiveness and what's really going on with this particular case of being reported by the Illinois Times? Good morning.
Well, thanks a lot, Greg. And full disclosure, I fully support Mayor Langfelder. I think he's done an outstanding job in 8 years through some difficult years with the budget freeze and then COVID. And he's got a long list of accomplishments. I'm going to take out a full-page ad in the Illinois Times coming out Thursday. I think it'll be on the inside front cover. That's what I locked in for a couple of months ago. And I hope everyone takes a look at it. I think campaign finance contributions is some area we need to look at more closely. I think with fewer journalists in town, we don't have enough look at that. I did note the Illinois Times article last week regarding the Langfelder property enforcement area was doing a great job with this property on North 8th Street, and they threw the book at the owner, an attorney by the name of George Petrelli, and they had racked up a large amount of fines. But the enforcement strategy is to rack up those fines, and then if they get compliance, then per the administrative law judge's ruling, they can waive the fines. Well, apparently that's eventually what happened, and then a year after that, the attorney makes a contribution to Langfelder. I think Langfelder did the right thing in returning that money. I'd like to know more about it, but clearly the property is neglected. I went by it on last week, on a Friday, I guess it was, and looked at it. It's neglected. So that attorney really, he needs to give up that property and let somebody else fix it up. It's neglected. I walked front and backyard, and so I'm disappointed that they threw the book at the guy. Now they're going to have to throw the book at him again. But there's so much to talk about, Greg. How many more minutes do we have?
Well, just on this issue real quick here, we've only got about 5 more minutes or so. But on this issue, do we have to have more of a refined approach when it comes to checking up on these properties and following through with fines, but also with how fines and fees could be forgiven or waived?
Yeah, I don't know what exactly happened on that case. I do know that in other cases, their procedures have worked very well. In fact, I had a property in Ward 7 on Clifton that had been vacant for 20 years, and we could never get compliance. So this same attorney that works for the city, Katia McMaster, she's an outstanding attorney, and she really went to bat for us, and we got those daily fines up to, I think it was about $50,000, and then we went into circuit court, and the owner, didn't pay it. So then we went to a sheriff's sale. We announced the sheriff's sale, and then someone came in and bought the property and paid off the fees all at one time. So it does work. I don't know what happened in that case that the Illinois Times was talking about, but clearly the mayor did the right thing, turning back the contribution that came in a year after the case got into Sangamon County Circuit Court. So, there's always problems out there. We have to keep working on them. There's so much to talk about. I was hoping to touch on police and fire.
And Alderman Joe McMenamin, so with the election coming up, of course, there's a lot of questions about, all the time, contributions from one group to the next, or, even endorsements. And the challenger here, Misty Buscher, does have the endorsement of police and fire unions. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think on the fire side, our mayor has tried for 8 years now to try to get more flexibility so that management of fire can control the overtime costs. I looked at year 2019, and with overtime pay, 38% of our firefighters made over $100,000. Now, I'm happy they can make that kind of money, but we just can't afford it. We got to reduce the overtime. So I think the fire department is upset with Mayor Langfelder for trying to revise the collective bargaining agreement, which has features in it that no other fire department has anywhere in the state of Illinois. So I think that there's some aggravation there, even though the mayor's done so much for the fire department with engines, new firehouses, etc. That self-interest kicks in, and they like that overtime, and they like the shift minimum manning, and so I think there's some resentment. On the police side, I think there is the residency issue is there. We do not have a residency for the police department. We still can't. No one can hire enough police right now throughout the state of Illinois. But we did hire 42 last year. And on the police side, they never used to make political contributions in Springfield. When I got into the seat 12 years ago, they were not making political contributions. I think it's a mistake for them to do so because of their role in enforcement. But that's the way it is. But currently, on the fire side, 47% of our firefighters live outside of our city limits. On the police side, 35% now live outside our city limits. We do not want that trend to get worse. We want to be policed by our own. We want police officers who know our neighborhoods and our town as best as they can by living here.
Alderman Joe McMenamin with us here on WMAY, talking about the upcoming election, which is the first week of April, first Tuesday of April, and that's just around the corner. Alderman, we're hearing a lot of campaign commercials from all sides. We've heard campaign commercials from the challenger in the mayoral race here in Springfield, Misty Buscher. We're just now also starting to hear campaign commercials for Mayor Jim Langfelder, and even in the treasurer's race, there's some interesting stuff with former Mayor Mike Houston supporting Bill McCarty. You've got others in there. It's a three-way race, but there's also campaign commercials for the deputy treasurer who's looking to get the top spot there. Your thoughts on all of the money that's being involved here in the city of Springfield when it comes to campaigning?
Greg, I never took a dime from any contributors that have an interest in a contract with the city, whether it be a collective bargaining agreement or a developer, somebody who wants zoning relief, whatever. I think we have to look at who's giving the money. Saputo's meeting, some of your listeners won't remember this, but in 2017, 2 years after a municipal election and 2 years before the next election, roughly over $50,000 was passed out in September of 2017 to aldermanic candidates, coming from Brad Shivey, from a developer, someone who needed a zoning relief right before, while a case was still sitting there in zoning. Over $50,000 passed out to 8 alder persons. And so we have to look at that money. We don't want money to control decision-making in our city.
Well, we'll have to, after the election, Alderman, have you on for kind of a look back at some of these issues and maybe even just carve out a full half hour, if not longer, for that, because I know you've got a lot to say about a whole host of things, and looking forward to having those conversations in the future. Alderman Joe McMenamin, greatly appreciate your time this morning.
Lots to talk about, Greg. Thanks a lot.
It's now 7:20 from Culver's West on Wabash.
It's time to apply at Culver's West on Wabash.